Good evening, everybody. I'm going to start the show here. Chapter 7, Training, Human Resource Management. Very, very long chapter, very, very interesting chapter. Training and development is one of the main purposes of HR. They're supposed to give people the requisite skills, help them beef up their skills so that they can be more valuable to the organization and, of course, be more employable in the future, make themselves more valuable. So, tonight, we're going to discuss how training, informal learning, and knowledge of management can contribute to continuous learning and companies' business strategy, explain the role of the manager in identifying training needs and supporting training on the job, because after all, it's the manager that has to assist in the need assessment. And that's the next one. Conduct a need assessment, evaluate employees' readiness for training, discuss the strengths and weaknesses of presentation, hands-on or group training methods, explain the potential advantages of e-learning for training, which is what we're doing right now because of this wonderful coronavirus, design a training session to maximize learning, choose appropriate evaluation design and training outcomes based on the training objectives and evaluation purpose, design a cross-cultural preparation program, and develop a program for effectively managing diversity. Slide number 4. Companies are in business to make money, obviously. Business functions must show how they contribute to business success. So every department has to justify its reason for being. Training activities should help the company achieve its business strategy. Training can help employees develop skills needed to perform their jobs, which directly affects the business. Everyone listening in on our live stream now could please, just chime in and ask questions as needed. Okay, otherwise, please leave your microphones on mute. Training, its role in continuous learning and competitive advantage. It's not just competitive advantage, it is sustainable competitive advantage. You must have an organization that is steeped in learning and training. Continuous learning requires employees to understand the entire work process, acquire and apply new skills, and share what they have learned. Training could either be formal, informal, explicit knowledge, or tacit knowledge. Tacit knowledge is based on personal experience that is difficult to codify. It's difficult to transmit. Okay, like I have a problem. I could teach you guys this course, but I can't give over my musical skills to people. That's something that's very, very difficult to give over. So formal training and development programs and courses that are developed and organized by the company. Informal learning that is learner initiated, involves actions and doing. It's motivated by intent to develop. It does not occur in a formal learning setting. It's kind of like on the job sometimes. Explicit knowledge that is well documented and easily transferable to other people. Stuff that you could, for example, download from the internet. As I mentioned, tacit knowledge already. Knowledge that is based on personal experience that is difficult to codify. And knowledge management, the process of enhancing company performance by designing and using tool systems and cultures to improve creation, sharing, and use of knowledge. And here at Turo, where we're using a learning management system known as Canvas, and it's not just in Turo, Canvas is a well-known, highly recommended and often used learning management system, enables me to reach an infinite amount of students. I mean, I'm using YouTube, so people could pick me up on YouTube right now if they're interested, and I've gotten comments. It's interesting. Somebody's following me. And in addition to that, anybody joining the course, I just put up a Zoom link and boom, everybody gets it. So that's a fantastic way of using training. And especially now with this coronavirus, companies are still able to do their trainings and colleges can still exist. Companies can still do meetings through this remote way of learning. Key features of continuous learning. Knowledge management is spoken informal, formal training and development, and there's a focus on performance, which supports business strategy, and of course, that's through its continuous learning. Slide 8, training design process, instructional system design, is how to design the instructional system used. We use the 80 model. We analyze, we design, we develop, we implement, and then we evaluate. And here we have it. Let me just expand it for a minute here. It's a little hard to see because the slide is a bit small. Figure 7.2, the training process. We do a need assessment, organizational analysis, person analysis, the people that need the training, and of course, task analysis, what jobs need to go into the training, what tasks they need to know, and skills. Step 2, ensuring employees' readiness for training, attitudes, and motivation. Make sure that they're up for it. Of course, they need to have the basic skills. You can have all the great attitudes, but if you lack the basic skills necessary for that training, you don't have the prerequisites, you're not going anywhere. creating a learning environment, identification of learning objectives and training outcomes, meaningful material, practice, feedback, observation of others, administering and coordinating program, ensuring transfer of training, self-management strategies, peer and manager support, which is very important to have your manager support you and your peers, selecting training methods, presentational methods such as PowerPoint, hands-on methods like in a lab, group or team building methods. Team building would be, getting together at an off-site and doing some sort of project together. It could be something fun. It could be tug of war. It could be making chocolate together. It could be anything fun, anything cute. It could be a softball game, but something that builds teamwork, esprit de corps, and camaraderie. And finally, evaluate training program, identification of training outcomes and evaluation design and cost-benefit analysis. So need assessment, the first step in the structural design process. Pressure points determine if training is necessary. Got to make sure you need it because training is expensive and it takes people out of circulation. We've got to look at performance problems, new technology that needs to be broadcasted and taught to everyone like we had with this whole coronavirus thing. About a month ago, we already knew that there'd be something coming up. So Touro College went mad basically and tried to get everyone to learn how to use Zoom. It's not a new technology. And by the way, Zoom stock has gone through the roof. Anybody's following the stock market, Zoom is out of control. I called it. I should have invested in it, but I didn't have the money, but oh well. Internal or external customers requesting requests for training, job redesign. Okay, hold on. Somebody's in the chat. Hold on, let me just check. Sorry, you're late. It's fine. It's okay. We forgive you. Don't worry about it. Getting back. So there's a new technology is another reason for it. Internal or external customer requests for training, job redesign, redoing the job, new legislation that needs to be implemented. For example, this past year in October, sexual harassment training was mandated by the state of New York and in the city itself. So everyone has to learn that. So that's another read for need because the government says you need to learn this. Changes in customer preferences that force you to switch things up. All right, we move on. Figure 7.3, the needs assessment. So we spoke about the reasons already from the previous point. We spoke about legislation, lack of basic skills, poor performance, new technologies, etc. What is the context? We spoke about organizational analysis, task analysis, and person analysis, and this is what we speak about, who needs the training, and then what do they need training? What trainees need to learn? Who receives training? Type of training. Is it Excel? Is it PowerPoint? Is it something else? Frequency? How often? Buy versus build? Is it just something we just send you to the learning tree? Or do we just purchase a program off the internet and have everybody sign up for it? Or is it something we build for ourselves? Training versus other HR options such as selection or job redesign, redesigning the job so that you can make it. And how are we going to evaluate the training? What methods will we use? So let's look at organizational analysis, support of managers and peers, company strategy, training resources. We look at person analysis, individual and the tasks that they need to accomplish. So strategic training and development initiatives, improve customer service, ensure that employees have product and service knowledge. Very important. There's nothing more annoying than having a salesperson who doesn't know what they're doing. Ensure that employees have skills needed to interact with customers. Ensure that employees understand their roles and decision-making authority. Improve employee engagement, ensure that employees have opportunities to develop so that they feel important, that they feel like they're being cared for, they feel like that they're being invested in, that it's not a dead-end job, and hopefully they'll be loyal and stay with the company for a long time. Ensure that employees understand career opportunities and personal growth opportunities. This is what we call a career ladder, making sure that people within the organization know how they could climb this ladder and make it. Ensure that training and development addresses employees' needs in current job as well as growth opportunities. Enhance innovation and creativity. Capture insight and information from knowledgeable employees. So many times in a need assessment, what you'll do is you'll go to the model employee, the good employee, ask them how they do their job, and then glean that information from them, and then be able to filter down to the employees that are struggling. Logically organize and store information. Provide methods to make information available. The resources and website, dedicate physical space to encourage teamwork, collaboration, creativity, and knowledge sharing. Growth in global markets, prepare high potential managers to take over global leadership positions, Prepare expatriates, people that used to live somewhere else and now they're moving. In other words, they used to live in that country that you're going to. In other words, let's say somebody who's going to, not China, because we're afraid of Corona, but let's say somebody's going to Italy. No, not Italy. Italy's not going to work. Let's say, I don't know, Zimbabwe. So you have somebody who is there, comes to live in America. Now he's going or she's going back to that country to do business. So you're going to repatriate them because they have to become repatriated. They have to learn the culture again. They have to be reinstated. So let's move on. Questions to ask vendors and consultants. This is for products. What evidence do you have that your program works? How long will it take to develop training program? What are your costs? What instructional design methods do you use? These are some of the questions you can ask. Look at table 7.2. Designing effective formal training activities. Readiness for training includes that employees' characteristics that provide them with a desire, focus, and energy to learn. You don't want to have somebody who could care less. There are people that are just not interested in sitting through a training. They're not the book type. Motivation to learn is the desire to learn the content of the training program, and that motivation can come out of fear sometimes. They're afraid of losing their job if they don't learn these skills. That's the worst way to learn. Very bad when you learn under the gun. It's very good when you learn in peace, in a peaceful way. And self-efficacy, which reflects the employee's belief that they can learn the content. Self-efficacy means you believe in yourself that you could learn this. If you feel that you can't learn something, then obviously no training program in the world will help you. So again, 7.3 goes through this: self-efficacy, benefits, consequences, awareness of needs, work environment, basic skills, goal orientation, that you're going towards a goal, and of course, conscientiousness, that you're going to plug away at this and not give up. Conditions for learning: need to know why they should learn, meaningful training content, a good teacher, somebody who's entertaining, somebody who knows how to give over the information well, opportunities for practice, feedback, you have to know how you're doing, observe, experience, and interact with training content, other learners, and instructor, good program coordination and administration, and commit training content to memory. And that's very important, to design a program that people will remember and will leave some sort of indelible mark on them. Ensure transfer of training, making sure that it goes from the trainer to the trainee. Manager support, action plan, peer support. Like imagine you're in a classroom and you're learning computers, I don't know, MC, whatever. And you're doing an assignment and you need help. Sometimes the instructor is not available, but you have your circle of friends that you can come together with and learn. And then you have a support network. And using Canvas, for example, you have all your students. You can send out an alert. Hey, I need help with this. Does anybody have notes on this? Can anybody explain this concept to me? It's very important to feel supported. Figure 7.4, work environment, characteristics influencing transfer of training, tech support, manager support, peer support, self-management skills. In other words, being disciplined, opportunity to use learned capability. If I teach you how to use a guitar and I just teach you the theory and I show you a bunch of videos, but you never have one in your hands, you'll never know how to play. It's impossible. You need to have it to practice it. The same is true with learning. Whatever you learn, you have to be able to put into practice. Designing effective formal activities, continued ensuring transfer training, continued opportunity to use learned capabilities, opportunity to perform. Don't be afraid to let your employees use their newfound knowledge. We move on. Technological support, performance support, and knowledge management systems. Performance support systems, computer applications that can provide, as requested, skills training, information access, and expert advice. Knowledge management systems, communities of practice, and the learning management system that we use is really all a part of this. Self-management skills: set goals for using skills or behavior on the job. Identify conditions under which they might fail to use them. Identify the positive and negative consequences of using them and monitor the use of them. Selecting training methods, instructor-led classroom, old school, online learning, which is what we're doing, mobile learning, social learning, and blended learning. A little bit of two different types. It could be instructor-led and online, for example. You could switch off. Here, 7.5 shows you the various percentages of different types of learning. We don't need to go through that. Presentation methods, you could do that through instructor-led classroom, distance learning, which is what we're doing now through teleconferencing and webcasting, and audiovisual training. You have on-the-job training, hands-on, apprenticeship, internship, simulation. Simulation is used a lot. My son-in-law is a PA, and he told me, I asked him, hey, did you go to the morgue and work on cadaver? Because no, we did simulations. Virtual reality, avatars, games and case studies. All these things are used in training methods. You also have hands-on methods, behavioral modeling. You follow behavior e-learning, repurposing. MOOCSs are these open courses that you can sign up for, on the internet. Blended learning, and what we have is, we spoke about the learning management system, which is basically a housing for courses. This is what Canvas is. Group or term or team building methods. Team building, again, bringing everyone together in a place, in a context where they'll be using their skills and they're working together, basically. You can have experiential programs. You send them on offsite and experience something. It could be through adventure, maybe going through some sort of maze. They have these escape rooms. I don't know if anybody's ever been to an escape room, but it's pretty cool. I went to, it wasn't really an escape room, but it's like an experiential thing where we went to the Blind Museum in Israel, where basically for 25 or 30 minutes, we were all blind and we all felt and knew what it felt to be like blind. It was a terrible experience. I mean, it was good that we appreciate our eyesight, but it was scary. But you learn it through experience, team training, cross-training, learning each other's jobs, coordination training. Coordination training, actually, I was looking it up on the internet. A lot of it has to do with physical training, team leader training, and of course, action learning. Advice for selecting a training method. Identify the type of learning outcome training is to influence: verbal information, intellectual skills, cognitive strategies, how to make yourself smarter, attitudes, motor skills, or some combination. And consider the training budget. That's really going to be what drives you in the background. Okay, training, what are the outcomes? Cognitive. Okay, did you get smarter? Is your cognition better? Skills-based. Are the outcomes effective? What are the results? And what is your return on investment? The course costs you $15,000 for 5 people. How long will it take to recoup that? And how much money can you make as a result of that? If you look at 7.7, you can see some of the outcomes used in evaluating training programs. For example, cognitive outcomes. So what is measured? Your smarts, the acquisition of knowledge. How is it measured? Pencil and paper tests, okay? Or through a work sample. An example: safety rules, electrical principles, steps in appraisal interview, all these different skills, like electrical principles. How do you judge? Somebody's going for his electrical license. How do you judge if he knows what he's talking about? Give him an exam. Look at return on investment on the bottom. What is measured? Economic value of training. How it's measured: identification and comparison of costs and benefits of the program. Example: how many dollars can you make as a result of this training? Okay. Different designs: post-test, pre-test, and versus post-test. Post-test only with comparison group to other people. Pre-test, post-test with comparison group. Time series. These are all different types of exams and ways of doing things. And the truth is, I've really seen the post and pre-test mainly here at the college. We wanted to evaluate people's knowledge when they came into the college versus how they left, and that's what they do here at Touro College. Return on investment refers to the estimated dollar return from each dollar invested in learning. Identify outcomes, place a value on outcomes, determine change in performance, obtain an annual amount of benefits from it. There's a whole bunch of employees working better now. Will bring will have a synergistic effect, and of course, more money will come in. Determine training costs, calculate total savings, because you saved a lot. Because when you buy in bulk, you buy training chair, you buy the seats, actually, not the training chairs, the seats in the course in bulk, it's much cheaper. And of course, you have to calculate your return on investment. Cross-cultural preparation, expatriate, competent area of expertise, able to communicate in the host country, culturally sensitive, motivated to succeed, and supported by family. Preparedness, receive language training and orientation. Now, somebody who's already there, then you don't need this. The person that was there already, you may just have to help him beef up. But when you have somebody being put into another country, let's say an American to Japan, they need language training. They need to discuss career plans and positions expected upon return when they come back. And of course, the person's family has to be supportive in this. Cross-cultural preparation, on-site phase, orientation to host country, develop social relationships, which is important. Repatriation phase, self-manage, provide company newsletters and local newspapers, adjust to lower standard of living, which is hard because sometimes you'll go to a country where the standard of living is lower and you have to get used to that. You're coming from one level, let's say here in the United States, and going to a second or third world country, and you have to, even now if it's not a completely third world country, kind of like India, I wouldn't say it's really third world. It's somewhere between the second and the third, and they're trying to go from second to first, but it's a much lower standard of living. So if you're going to be living in India for years, it's going to be hard. You have to adjust to it. Managing workforce diversity and inclusion, manage diversity, inclusion, you have diversity training, and many may enhance performance and impact your cognitive outcomes, your effective outcomes, and of course, how you behave at the end. So you need to have top management support, make the business case for diversity, include diversity as part of the business strategy and corporate goals. And today it's all about diversity, having people of all different colors, creeds, socioeconomic backgrounds, etc. Participate in diversity programs and encourage all managers to attend and ensure that the composition of the executive management team, people on top, mirrors the diversity of the workforce. Don't just say, okay, we have a diverse workforce, but everybody on top is all white, all black, all Asian, all from France, or whatever it is. You can't have, it has to mirror. In other words, you have a diversity in the ranks. You also need to have diversity upstairs in corporate as well. Recruitment and hiring. Ask search firms to identify wider arrays of candidates, enhance the interviewing, selection, and hiring skills of managers, which is very important, and expand college recruitment at historically minority colleges. You want to have diversity? Go to colleges that have a minority base and recruit from them. Talent identification and development. Form a partnership with internship programs that target minority students for management careers. Establish a mentoring process. Refine the company's global succession planning system to improve identification of talent. Improve the selection and development of managers and leaders to help ensure that they are capable of maximizing team performance, make them better managers, ensure that all employees, especially women and minorities, have access to management development and leadership programs. And this is why Walmart, for example, has been in the news so much with respect to the fact that they don't give women a chance and minorities a chance. Employee support. Form resource groups or employee network groups, including employees with common interests, and use them to help the company develop business goals and understand the issue they are concerned with. For example, Asian Pacific employees, women, gays, lesbians, transgender employees, etc. Celebrate cultural traditions, festivities, and holidays, and make work-life balance initiatives such as flex time, telecommuting, and elder care. Now with the coronavirus, we are living in probably one of the most flexible environments. Where I work in a cancer clinic, maybe 2 people work from home, and that's only once a week. Because of the outbreak of corona, we have 10 people working from home right now, and we're expanding that as well. And we're thinking of using telehealth, which is really, really important, and it's really a part of this whole telecommunication process. As bad as this coronavirus is, and this is true with any major world event, there's going to be a new world order. The coronavirus is really bad, but it's not as bad as the Black Plague of medieval times. And in the 1400s, after about 50% of Europe died, there was a new world order. Things changed, and things are going to change tremendously now as well. We shall see what the future brings. Fair treatment. Conduct extensive diversity training, implement and alternate dispute resolution process, include women and minorities in all human resource committees throughout the company for inclusion. Manager accountability, link managers' compensation, right in the pocketbook, to their success in meeting diversity goals and creating openness and inclusion in the workforce. Use employee attitude or engagement surveys to track employment attitudes on inclusion, fairness, and opportunities for development, work-life balance. Implement 360-degree feedback for all managers and supervisors. I'll post a link for that. I have an interesting video on that, how you get a lot of different people to get involved in the when every year you have your assessment of how well you're doing, so everyone gets involved. Your manager, the people that you interact with that are not necessarily in your department, could be people in your department. It's really cool. I'll post a video on Canvas for all of you to watch. Relationship with external stakeholders, increase marketing to diverse communities, provide customer service in different languages to make people feel comfortable. There's nothing more comforting than seeing something in your own language. Broaden the company's base of suppliers and vendors to include businesses owned by minorities and women. In fact, in the city of New York, many times only companies owned by minorities can bid on certain city contracts. Provide scholarship and educational and neighborhood grants to diverse communities and their members. Onboarding, meaning when you have people coming in to work for you, you're going to basically provide them with some sort of orientation. Establish relationships to increase satisfaction. Clarify goals and expectations to improve performance. provide feedback, coaching, and follow-up activities to reduce turnover. People have feedback and they know that you care about them. People are less likely to book out and leave. Figure 7.6, the 4 steps in onboarding: compliance, understand the company policies, rules, and regulations; clarification, understand your job and your expectations; culture, and the expectations of your leaders; culture, understand company's history, tradition, values, norms, and mission; and finally, connection, understand and develop working and interpersonal relationships and how your department and how you within your department connect with everyone else within the organization. Table 7.10, characteristics of effective onboarding programs. A couple of points: employees are encouraged to ask questions, which is always good. Program includes information on both technical and social aspects of the job. The employee and the manager has some onboarding responsibility. The employee manager has part of that he has to be a part of the onboarding and the orientation. Debasing or embarrassing new employees is avoided. You got to make sure that you never debase or hurt someone's feelings, especially on the onboarding. Employees learn about the company's culture, history, language, products, services, and customers. Follow-up of employee progress occurs at different points up to 1 year after joining the company. So always taking your pulse to see how you're doing. Program involves participation, active involvement, and formal and informal interaction between new hires and current employees. Relocation assistance is provided, such as house hunting or information sessions on the community for employees and their significant others and their families. The next is basically the appendices of image long descriptions, and you can go through them yourself. These are all the appendices of what we went through, and I want to thank you all for joining tonight. I think this was a very, very important lesson. Training is a very, very important part of human resource management. Thank you all for joining.